Welcome to another episode of the Whiskey Tornado. Today we're reviewing a wheat whiskey out of Three Oaks, Michigan called Corsets, Whips, and Whiskey. Welcome back, guys. Today I'm going to be rolling out our new rating system here on the Whiskey Tornado. We've reviewed a lot of whiskeys, and up until this point I haven't had a system to kind of grade those. So what we're going to do, this being the Whiskey Tornado, we're going to rate them an F1 through an F5. F1 is going to be kind of like your garbage trash whiskey, a whiskey I wouldn't recommend. F2 is going to be a below average whiskey, and it could even be a whiskey that some people like and some people hate. F3 is just going to be your bar-worthy, average kind of whiskeys, not going to blow your socks off, but good enough to be on your bar. And F4 is going to be a buy-to bourbon, a bourbon that you taste it, you love it, you need to run back to the store, get another bottle, just so you have an extra one on hand, maybe even bunker one. And then an F5 is going to be a whiskey that just totally knocks your socks off, and you're just going to ignore cost. If you ever see it, you're going to buy it. We're gonna have 6 categories to get to that 1 through 5 point scale. We're going to have a nose category, palate, finish, presentation, how the bottle looks, value, and availability. And then each of those categories is going to be rated 0 through 1. So 0 being horrible, 0.5 being average, and then 1 being as good as it gets. I doubt there's going to be too many 1s or too many 0s, but you never know. So that's the grading scale we're going to start using on all of our whiskeys from here on out. Let's get a pour of this 100% wheated whiskey out of Three Oaks, Michigan, and get into our first scoring review. All right, we got a nice pour of Corsets, Whips, and Whiskey. I think this is one of the sexiest bottles out there. I really love the presentation on this. I also forgot to mention, in addition to the F1 through F5 grading scale, I'm also going to give some bottles a unicorn badge, not meaning that they're impossible to find and really rare, but meaning the taste is unique. So if we might have several that, you might even have a bourbon I rate an F2 or an F1, but it has a unicorn badge, meaning it's really unique and you should probably go get it. So we're gonna do those as well. So let's get into this bottle. It's really high. It's 116.7 proof, 58.35% alcohol. Distilled and bottled by Journeyman Distillery in Three Oaks, Michigan. They use a building that used to make corsets and buggy whips, hence the name of Corsets, Whips, and Whiskeys. This particular bottling is actually a Benny's store pick, says right on the side. This is batch 102, bottle 33. Distilled and bottled by Journeyman Distillery in Three Oaks, Michigan, certified organic. Very nice bottle. I love it. Simple, looks classic. Looks like an older bottle, a bottle you would maybe get for medicinal purposes back in the day. I love that. So let's get into our first grading category, and that is the nose. Again, we're rating this 0 to 1, 0.5 being average. It's a different nose, being 100% wheated whiskey. It's vanilla and what is that? There's like a slight cream soda note. It's like vanilla cream soda with wheat and that craft kind of grassy hay note a little bit in the background. But mostly it's just a vanilla bomb. It's really nice nose. As far as the nose goes, I would rate this probably a little bit better than average, but not too high. Because of that craft note that I often get in smaller distilleries that kind of turns me off, and that's definitely in here. but it's better than average. It's really sweet. I love the vanilla. I love the cream soda. There aren't too many bourbons or whiskeys out there that I get a cream soda note to. So I'm gonna rate it higher than average, and I'm gonna rate it a 0.6 out of a 1. Let's go in to the taste. You know, for it being 58.35% alcohol, that wheat really rounds it out and makes it smooth. There aren't those sharp, you know, you're not getting cinnamon, you're not getting clove. Some people really, really love that. I personally really love that. The viscosity, when I talk about palate, I'm talking about flavors, complexity, but I'm also talking about the viscosity as well. How oily is it? How well does it stick to your mouth? And this is a pretty viscous wheated whiskey, and those notes of vanilla and cream soda come through. It's almost like you can taste the wheat. You can taste that craft note, which I'm not crazy about, but yeah, I mean, if I had an average bourbon and this sitting next to it, it kind of depends on the mood I would be in, but I would reach for this. So I would probably rate this, I would say, on the palate, I'm gonna say a 0.5 with an asterisk, meaning this is different. If you're used to caramel and brown sugars and oak and your typical bourbon flavors, you might taste this and really be thrown off because it tastes so different and you might not like it. So I'm gonna put an asterisk because this is a different animal. This isn't your typical bourbon flavors, and it's really high proof. The finish goes on forever. I mean, it's a way longer than average finish, probably because of the proof, but it's a really nice finish. I'm gonna rate it over average, and I'm gonna say it's a 0.8 on the finish. The presentation, I just love it. I love the simplicity of it. I love the cleanliness of it. It looks really good on a bar. It looks like one of those old time bottles from back in the day. And I love it's got the lady in the corset with a whip on the on the cover. Just a really classic bottle. I love everything about it. I'm gonna say it's a way better than average presentation, and probably a 0.8 on presentation. Value, I think I paid $60 to $70. I'm not exactly sure. So as far as the value goes, you know, it is a good whiskey. It's really different. I can imagine a lot of people buying this and not liking it, but if you're, you know, looking for that different kind of outlier that you don't get every day, and you're tired of just your normal caramel and vanilla flavors and bourbons, the value is good due to the, you know, $60 to $70 price range. The proof is up there. It is this particular one was a single barrel, so that adds. I'm gonna say it's about average value. I definitely don't feel like I'm getting ripped off, but I don't feel like I stole the bottle either. So I'm gonna give it a 0.5 on value. Availability, Journeyman Distillery, again, out of Three Oaks, Michigan, is their distribution is growing as far as I can tell. If you're in Illinois, you can pretty much find this at any Benny's. Maybe not the Corsets, Whips, and Whiskey. You can find their other offerings. The Corsets, Whips, and Whiskey kind of comes and goes. I see it at Benny's, you know, probably at least 5 or 6 times a year. So it's probably a little less than average on availability. I'm not sure how distribution is outside of the state of Illinois. I imagine it's pretty spotty and it's kind of hard to find, but as Journeyman grows, they have another offering called, I think it's Silver Cross, which is a 4-grain, which is really good. And they're a really, really good growing distillery. So I'm sure distribution is going to grow and you're going to be able to find it more readily available. But for availability, since right now it's a little spotty, we're going to rate it below average at a 0.3. So overall, this is an F3. It actually scored like a 3.5. So it's somewhere between bar worthy and buy two. And I think that's a perfect rating for this because I don't know how many times I'm gonna see, especially a Benny's store pick on the shelf, and I would love to have a bottle of this when someone comes over and I say, hey, you know, they're tasting wheated bourbons and they're not sure where that wheat, what that wheat flavor is specifically. I can say, hey, try, I have a bottle that's 100% wheated whiskey. Try it, see see if you can pick out those flavors of wheat, and see how wheat makes it vanilla and rounded and kind of soft, and just a really nice whiskey. But it does have a little bit of a different taste, so it's not going to be for everybody. So the fact that it is such an outlier in taste, I'm gonna slap the unicorn badge on it. So we're gonna call it an F3.5, meaning it's bar worthy to buy two, and we're slapping the unicorn badge on it because it's such an outlier when it comes to taste. If you guys have had this, let me know how you like it. If I see it, I'll probably always have one on my bar, just as a good example of what wheat whiskey can be. All right, till next time, cheers, my friends.